Environmentalists report finding weed killer in Cheerios, which explains why stoners are still waiting for hemp-flavored Cheerios. What are you waiting for? Hello and welcome to the Fen Den. I'm your host, Sean Allen Fenn, and my goal is to win your hearts and to change your minds. The New York Times reports that this environmentalist group released a report that they found this weed killer that's used in crops. They found it in Cheerios and Quaker Oats and other breakfast foods. And I wouldn't be too alarmed. But if you're eating Cheerios right now, then that explains why there's no weeds in your bowl. And so you can rest assured about that. But what are you waiting for in your life to do what you are supposed to be doing? And how do you know what you're supposed to be doing? It's a question that I often ask here on the Fen Den with your host, Sean Allen Fenn, because it's my calling in life is to help people realize their dreams, because I want everyone to succeed. Everyone who I come in contact with, I want you to succeed. So it depends on if you're listening to this, maybe you also want to do amazing things and help a lot of people, which is cool. And that's why I'm so glad that I can make time to make this podcast for you, because we kind of tend to come up with reasons why we're not doing what we're here for. That is, if you even know what you're here to do. And the problem is that there is a very real illusion, and it's called reality, but it is the kind of reality where you look at it from the perspective of scarcity. And there's a upside and a downside to that. And the upside is, in order to solve a problem, you have to find it first. Okay, so, well, optimism is the best way to go overall. You have to be able to look at things in a way that you can find a problem. Right? Like this environmentalist group was looking for a problem, and they found one, and they found this pesticide in Cheerios. But the fact is that a huge percentage of the food we eat in America is processed, which means it's really easy to not eat healthy. And the reason why you might not be eating as healthy is because organic food is more expensive, right? So I've been wanting to eat better. Okay? Let me get real with you guys. I've been wanting to eat better. And a couple of my friends have been telling me how to do it, because I'm just not that good at it, because I just don't really like to go grocery shopping, and I don't really like to cook if it's just for me. I like to do it for other people, and I if I'm not like eating with other people in actual real people face to face, I don't care. I just want to stuff food in my face just to not be hungry. Does anyone else feel that way? How many people consider themselves to be foodies and take pictures of their food and Instagram their food. I'm not one of them. I'm not a foodie, definitely. But I actually want to eat better. And I think what I'm waiting for in order to do that is just an excuse. Okay? So I need you guys to hold me accountable here. Because eating healthy requires me to either grow my own food, so that requires some gardening skills, and I'm a city boy. I really like the city. That's the way I like it. You know, I like the convenience of I can just go to the deli, I can just go to the bodega, I can just grab something quick, stuff food in my face, but that is probably not the best way to keep going, right? So that's one of the things that I need to work on, is not making excuses for not eating well. I mean, I don't eat bad. I really don't. I don't eat junk. I never eat fast food. Never drink soda. I mean, on a very rare occasion, I might, but typically I won't. So I don't eat bad. So overall, I'm grateful to be so healthy and robust and physically fit, just naturally. It's pretty great to just be naturally as debonair as I am and chiseled. It sort of boggles my mind how muscular I am, considering that I don't really work out that much. But, I'll take it. It's cool. I'm not complaining about that. There's 3 kinds of complaints, though. I've been thinking about this. If you ever complain, it's one of 3 things. You're either bragging, or it's an opportunity, or you're making excuses. It's those 3 things. So a complaint is either a brag, or it's an opportunity, or it's an excuse. If it's a brag, then you want more of it, right? So people who are chronic complainers, they do that either to get attention, or that's what they want more of, because they get some kind of satisfaction out of it. I don't understand it, but I'm sure if you've been on Facebook for 5 minutes, you've seen someone complaining about something. And the other kind of complaint is an opportunity. And that's a good kind of complaint. Okay, that's when it's good to look at the negative. You don't always have to be positive if you can be intentionally negative to find the opportunity. So, because that's where you find a problem that you can solve, right? For example, the people who found the pesticide in Cheerios, maybe they can help to solve the problem of helping people eat more organic foods somehow. I'm not exactly sure what their plan is, but that would be a really good goal. That would be something that I could get behind, is helping the people eat better. Okay, so that's why I really enjoy meeting healthy people who eat well. In fact, I don't think I hang around anyone who does not eat well. So I'm very fortunate in that respect. The other kind of complaint is an excuse, and that's the one that I have to be careful of if I'm doing it, is making excuses, because that will lead to procrastination, and that is why people don't live up to their potential. Is for either they are just finding reasons not to do what they want to do because it's scary, or maybe they're bragging because they don't actually want to do something about their situation. They just want to complain about it. But if it's an opportunity, then that is your chance to, that's your chance to change everything. Here's what's going on. I want you to know that if you are afraid of doing what you want to do, I don't know what your dreams are, but most of us have hopes and dreams, and the majority of people forget, or they make excuses and come up with reasons why they can't be whatever. I don't know. Maybe someone has a dream to be a circus clown and ride a unicycle and juggle bowling pins, and they really want to do that, but they're afraid because they don't want to leave everything and go to clown school and learn how to juggle and learn how to ride a unicycle. So they never will do it. Okay, and that's on you if you don't want to learn how to juggle, because nothing is stopping you from being a clown. My point is that nothing has to stop you. Did you know that for some of us, we cannot fail? I don't know about you. I don't know if you can fail or not. But as for me, I cannot fail. And when you realize that, when you accept that, it's a game changer. Okay? Just imagine for a second. Just accept. Just set aside any kind of doubt for a second. And imagine that there is no way that you could fail. What would it be like if life was rigged in your favor? Could you imagine what you could do? The kind of authority that you could have if that was your awareness? What if you wanted to be a surfer? What if it was your dream? You really wanted to be a surfer, but you see reports of shark attacks and you let that stop you from learning how to surf. Can you imagine how ridiculous that would be? But people do stuff like that with their life, right? Let me explain. I practice what I preach, and fortunately, I have wealth in the form of really good friends. You know, there are some people who used to be my friends, but they're not serving anymore. They're not serving the purpose that I'm destined for, so they're excused from my life, right? But that's okay, because I'm very wealthy in a very tight-knit special group of friends who get it, okay? Now, I have a vision, and I'm totally pursuing that vision, right? I've identified something that I'm doubling down on, that I'm really good at. Okay, that's why I started this podcast. I started it almost a year ago, and if you've been following, I don't know if you have or not, but if you've been listening this long, you might want to know what I'm going to say next. Because I have actually let go of all my fears, and I fear absolutely nothing. Now, a normal person would be scared out of their wits right now if they were in my condition. If they're in my situation, I mean. A normal person. In other words, a person who has a version of reality that is based in scarcity, and a version of reality that does not acknowledge and accept the fact that they cannot lose. Okay? The people who are crazy enough to believe that they cannot fail and they cannot lose are the ones who make it happen. And if someone has ever told you that you can't do what you want to do because, I don't know, you have to do it a certain way. For example, you might need to make a sacrifice if you really want to go big and go all in to reach your dreams, to accomplish your goals. You might have to intentionally sacrifice something really big. You might have to be able to give it up, give everything away. Okay? If this isn't for everyone, but if you have a big goal like I do and made a really, really monumental life shift towards your ultimate destination, someone might tell you that you can't do it that way. And in their mind, they are like the person who sees the shark attack headlines and they never learn to surf because they look at the world that way, where it's either this or that. It's black or white. It is this way or that way. And there's always more than one way. See, poor people, limited-minded people who are who don't think big, think in either this or that, and either have or have not, or right? Big-minded, wealthy people think in there's no limits. I can see another way to do it, and I know there's another way, and I'm confident that if I stick to my guns, you have to stick to your guns. What I'm learning is to ignore most people. You cannot listen to most people. You can listen to them because I believe that it's a mistake not to listen to wise counsel, but consider the source. And if they are your peers and they're telling you that you have to do something a certain way, and they are at your level, like economically, and say you want more, you want to make a difference in the world, and you take advice from people who are not making a difference in the world, and you take that advice, that's bad advice. And I'm just suggesting that you just kind of let them be, but you do you. And when you're not afraid, when you are able to get to the point where you have no doubt, because you realize that doubt is poison. Just like the pesticide or the weed killer that's in the Cheerios, doubt does the same thing. I mean, think about it. Okay, this environmentalist group found this weed killer in the Cheerios. Are you going to stop eating Cheerios? No, of course not. But you let doubt get in the way of your ambition, of your goals, of what you are destined to do. You let doubt get in the way, even for a second, and you You are afraid of Cheerios? Are you afraid to go in the water because you've heard of a shark report? You've heard of you've heard that, I don't know, you're listening to people who have not achieved anything, and you take their advice. You are receiving doubt, and that will kill you. Did you know that you can speak to a mountain? The mountain being something that is not in your best interest, something that is in the way, something that is preventing you from reaching your potential, whether it be finances, whether it be some kind of emotional hurt, whether it could be resentment or unforgiveness. That I was meditating the other day, and I remembered like this little thing that I didn't forgive someone for. It's a little thing, it's not a big thing, but it's like someone owed me $60, and I recognized that in my subconscious. I remembered that, like, I remember that I was mad that this person didn't give me my $60, and I thought, that was silly. I didn't need to let that go. I forgot it was there. I forgot it was in my subconscious. I acknowledged it, and I let it go, and I laugh about it. Like, don't hold on to anything. Don't hold on to anything. Forgive people of their debts to you, and watch what happens. Speak to the situation. Speak to that mountain that's holding you back, and don't have any doubt. You have to be courageous. Because I can tell you, once I spoke it into existence, because I'm finding that I'm really good at digital media and marketing, and I happen to specialize in the art market and specialize actually in the baby boomer generation, who there were artists who were overlooked, and they are not Andy Warhol and they're not Picasso, but they're really good. So once I targeted that down, things started happening. Once I spoke it into existence, that I am serving people in a way that meets their needs through digital marketing, that most people don't have time to figure out how to use social media correctly. And most people don't have time to figure out how to use anything except a website from one of the companies that is not, I don't want to name names, but you can tell like who doesn't have professional technical ability, and that's okay, because that's where you come in, because you have a special ability. And the biggest challenge is to narrow it down into something really specific and identify what it is and speak it into existence. And when I decided to do that, everything else just kind of disappeared into the blurry background. And all of a sudden, I'm starting to see this come to fruition, to where I have these amazing clients who are paying me what I ask for and doing amazing work for them. And they value it. And I couldn't do that if I didn't let go of the safety net. Now, not everyone can let go of the safety net. I understand that. You might have children that you have to provide for. And, you got to do what you got to do. It's different for everybody. But this is kind of, I don't know if this is too esoteric for you guys. I don't know if you're listening to me and hearing what I'm saying, but But in the writings of the Torah, it explains that the Israelites of the days of Moses were, when they were taking the land, they would have to go to war with people. They would have to go to war with other nations. And they created these cities of refuge. Okay? You can think of it like a safety net. So in your life, somewhere in the back of your mind, you can think of the safety net that feels like safety. It is a place of refuge. And that place of refuge is for people who cannot go into battle. And that city of refuge in those times was a place where if you killed somebody by accident, you could go and seek refuge there. Also, in times of battle, if the Israelites had to attack another nation in their journey, they first were required to offer peace. So before things escalated, they could offer terms of peace, and if the other people accepted it, then they got along, and if not, then they attacked. Now, how is this relevant to what I'm talking about? In your life, you need to push forward to your destiny, to whatever your promised land is, whatever your purpose is. You have to fight for it, and people will get in your way. And you have to not be afraid. And if you are afraid, you can go to your place of refuge. You can go to your safety net, and you can stay there and hide. And you'll be fine if that's what you want to do. If you want to stay in your safe place, if you don't want to take risks, then you can go ahead and take refuge. So you don't have to take a risk. You won't get the reward, but you don't have to take the risk either. And those people who would take refuge, those were the people who were afraid, and they were soft. They couldn't fight. And they had an excuse not to fight. It's in a lot of cases, it was a valid excuse. Like they just got married, or they just bought a house, and they had to do this or that. Okay, so they were allowed to not fight if they were not brave. But if you are willing to find the opportunity and to push through that complaint, and you're able to avoid doubt, if you're able to recognize that doubt is actually a trivial made-up thing that doesn't even matter, unless you let it matter, like unless you seek it out and you let it get in the way, it doesn't matter, and it's poison. And until you realize that and are completely fearless, you are totally welcome to stay in your little safety zone. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that, because we need mediocre people in this world. There always has to be someone to fold laundry. Okay? No offense if you work in a laundromat. That's cool, because we always need someone to do that. I know someone's going to think I'm a jerk for saying that, and I don't care. Because this one time, I dropped off my laundry, and I just wanted to know how fast it would turn around. I wanted to know if how soon I could pick it up. And the ladies when I asked, like, okay, like, how soon can I pick it up? Tomorrow morning. And they just laughed. And they laughed in a way that was like I, you know how people tend to, like, think that they're a victim of something that they put themselves in. So they laughed because they were so overwhelmed with work that would never happen. Like, they would never be able to get it done that quickly. And it's okay. It's fine. It's not a big deal. But that's I don't know. That's how I interpreted it. Whatever. But we've all encountered someone who plays the victim, like when they complain about having too much work. Don't complain about having too much work. Like, that's what you asked for. And it's up to you what kind of work that you choose. If you want to work in a laundromat, there's nothing wrong with that. But don't complain about it, or like, don't laugh at a customer. I mean, I wasn't offended, but it just wasn't good customer service is all. And you get what you ask for. You get what you pay for, and you get what you ask for. That much is true. Whatever you ask, you will receive. The problem is when we don't know what we're asking for because we're in fight or flight mode. When we get in this scarcity mentality and we get in this fight or flight reactive sort of mode, and we're just asking for more of that, but it's unconsciously, and that's what we get. And it actually takes awareness and it takes practice to get into a higher place, to where you're not afraid and you're not in scarcity mode, but you notice how you have everything that you need and everything that you ask for. And sometimes it comes in different ways that you didn't expect. But you can't lose. I can't lose. I don't know about you, but I can't lose. It's impossible. That doesn't mean you don't make mistakes, because of course you do. And you should make mistakes. In fact, you should allow for mistakes. Right? Because as soon as you can take responsibility for what you do and take responsibility for what you may have prevented being done, you may have prevented because of doubt. You may have had a doubt in your mind that stopped something from happening that needed to happen. A missed opportunity. I don't know how many opportunities I've missed so far in life, but I don't want to miss any more. I don't want to miss one more opportunity. Okay? And the only way that I can achieve that goal is to catch myself when I make excuses. When I'm making excuses, you know what? Admit it, correct it, and let's take care of business. But that's not easy, because you know what it requires? It requires being able to crucify yourself. It does. So, for everybody who's still listening, if I haven't lost you, I know I can kind of get a little intense sometimes, and I don't apologize for that. But it requires being not just humble. Jesus said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit," and that gets mistranslated because in the Greek it turns into a different meaning. But that phrase, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven," in Aramaic, the language that it was spoken in, is an idiom that you could also say, "Blessed are those who get out of their own way." You know, the people who get the kingdom, the people who win the prize, are the people who are ready to let everything go, ready to let materialism go, and they are ready to abandon the reality that most people have, the reality of scarcity. and the reality of materialism. They're willing to let go of all that and let go of their safety net because there's something deeper and greater than that. And in order to get that, you have to let go of the bad deal to get the good deal. Trust me. It's better to have no deal than a bad deal. So let go of the bad deal that's keeping you down, that's keeping you from accomplishing what you're here to do. Don't be afraid, but be willing to put it all on the line in favor of the spiritual, the who you are. We are all created in the image and the reflection of God, and that means that we are a spirit walking around in a monkey suit, walking around in a costume of skin and bones, right? But we're spirit. And the reality that we see, that we think is reality, is a very convincing illusion. And when you recognize that, some people call it the simulation theory. Google it. It'll blow your mind. But when you realize that you can't lose, there's no stopping you. And just when, I can just speak for me, I don't know about you, but just when you're on the brink of like disaster, you have no fear and you push through and you see breakthrough. I'm seeing breakthrough right now. I'm seeing my intentions, my dreams becoming manifested right now as I'm doing this podcast. Like, things that are happening this week are incredible. And that's why I just want to encourage you. I don't know how many of you expected to hear this when you started listening to my podcast, but if you listen this far, that means that you are onto something too. Okay? Because we're going to do even greater things. We're going to do so many amazing things, even greater things than anything that has been done before. If you persevere, you don't doubt, you don't take no for an answer. In fact, recognize that no is only temporary. No is never permanent. Keep pushing, and you'll do even greater things. Because you're not doing it for yourself. Because remember, it's not about you. Whatever you're called to do, whatever is your divine purpose, your big thing that you're put here to do. You're put here to do that for other people, for everyone else, okay? That's probably the simplest method of being free from doubt, is to not look at yourself. Look at the prize and stay focused. The number one reason why people fail is because they don't focus. And I can vouch for that. Like, if I learned how to focus a long time ago, I would be a lot farther in life. But hey, it's now or never, right? Let's do this. Me and you together. I got your back. Thanks for listening. And thanks for being awesome.